So I use the little pamphlet that we have, and I just draw this out for the customer. Okay, so the first part on your bill is the generation charge. Imagine these are smokestacks. Okay? The generation charge is the cost to actually create the electricity at the power plant. So for this particular period, you guys spent $64 to create your electricity. Now, the problem is, once they create that electricity, it's got to go through 4 different steps or stages before it finally gets to your home. Now, if you've ever wondered what all these different charges are on your bill, and every time they'll be like, yeah, what is that? That is so crazy. You're like, it's for each step in the process that the electricity has to go through before it gets to your home. Make sense? Okay, it's about 4 steps, there's 4 charges on there. That's called delivery. So in this particular situation, it cost you $64 to create it and 91 to deliver it. Isn't that crazy? It's actually more to deliver your electricity these days than it is to actually create it. Why is that? Well, here in the Northeast, over the last decade, they've closed down a lot of local power plants due to EPA regulations. So our energy is coming from further and further away, places like Canada, for example. Well, the further away it is, guess what? And they always answer it. The more expensive it is to get here. Oh, we're learning together. It's amazing. All right, so it gets to the house, so the electricity gets to the home, and you have that electric meter. By the way, which side of the house is your meter on? I didn't notice when I walked up.
It's on the roof.
Okay, that's perfect. Whatever they say, it's perfect. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's just, it gets them, you have to ask little questions to bring them back in really quickly, otherwise they just get lost. So, okay, great. So you got that dang electric meter on your home, and every time that spins 1 time, it equals 1 kilowatt. You guys can answer 1 kilowatt hour. It's just a unit of measure. You guys have heard that term before, right? They'll usually shake their head. Now, at this point, they're thinking, why do I care? Why do I need to know all this? So I tell them right then, the only reason you care, and if it's a dude with tattoos and we're like, you know, really getting along well, I'll be like, the only reason you give a damn or you give a, you know, whatever, is because as a homeowner, it's good to know what your total cost per kilowatt hour is. Okay, most people think when they look at their bill, if I were to ask you, what are you paying per kilowatt hour? Most people look at their bill and they're like, oh, I'm paying 8.5 cents. But now you're educated, you know better. You know that's only for half of your electricity charge. You got to add in all this. So the easiest way to do that is, we're just going to take the total amount of your bill. So we're going to add up these 2 sections. When they're on a balance here, a budget thing, just ignore that. All we're going to do is add these 2 up. So somebody do that for me real quick.
I have my glasses, I can't even read it.
154. What number is that?
154.
Okay,
Okay,
155 actually.
All right, so
154.95.
okay, so let's just say 155. So we're going to take 155, and we're going to divide it by how many times that meter spun. Where can we find that on the bill?
754.
Okay. Right there, 754. Or if you scroll down, it's always at the bottom. I always show people it's right here at the bottom of your bill, so they don't get confused. Because you have sometimes you have off peak, on peak. Whatever's at the bottom, you just add it together, and that's your total kilowatt. So divide that out for me. So 155 divided by 754. Someone?
20 cents kilowatt hour, 20.5.
Okay. So if it's 20.5, what I'll say is okay, so every time your meter spins 1 time, it's costing you just a little less than 21 cents. Okay? But I'm always going to round up a little bit, just works better. So you're paying a little less than 21 cents. So then I ask the homeowner, because if you don't ask this, it doesn't sink in. So if somebody asks you, Tony, how much you're paying every time your meter spins, or how much you're paying per kilowatt hour, what are you going to tell them?
21 cents.
You got it. Oh, you're such an awesome boy. You've grown up so fast. Okay, so whatever. Say something, put a star on their forehead, make them feel good. They're getting it, okay? They're with you. They understand the process. Now, that's it. That's how we buy our electricity. That's how we've been buying our electricity for years. It doesn't matter if you use 700 kilowatts or 7,000 kilowatts. All they're doing is multiplying that by this rate, and that's what your bill ends up being. Okay? Now, your new clean energy, great phrase, goes on your roof, Couple of things I want you to know about it. First is the entire system is extremely light, because as soon as you draw a picture of something on their roof, what's the first thing that comes to their mind? Is that heavy? Is it gonna damage my roof? It's extremely light. Somebody tell me what the pounds per square foot
Weigh about 3
distributed
pounds per
weight.
square foot of pressure.
You got
It's
it.
the equivalent of taking a thick 3-ring binder and putting a row of those on your roof.
Very nice, John.
That's what she used to say.
That's what I still say.
Okay, awesome.
So 3 pounds per square foot is the distributed weight of the system, okay? That's all they need to know. They don't know how much, they don't need to know how much each panel weighs, they don't need to know how much the conglomerate of the array is gonna weigh. 3 pounds per square foot gives them an idea of how light it is. My binder actually happens to be about a square foot, and it actually happens to weigh about 3 pounds. So if I were to put that on your roof, and we'll lay a row of those across, that gives you an idea of what the equivalent of having the solar system on your roof would be like. So it's super light. Second thing is, these panels are now going to protect and preserve the shingles, because it's going to take the brunt of all the elements for the next 20 years. On top of that, I have heard from some of my customers that in the summer, it will actually help cool the house down a little bit, just because you don't have, heat is energy. And instead of that heat hitting your roof and it having nowhere to go except into your attic and into your home that heats up the home, the panels are now absorbing that energy and transferring it into electricity. So I have heard that it does cool the home a little bit in the summer. Third thing is, the wiring is real simple. All we do is run it down in a single conduit or pipe, for lack of a better word, and I always do this just so they can see. And we install an inverter box right next to your existing meter, okay?
Isn't it changed now with the
I don't
more?
It doesn't
you still
matter.
do it? Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I explain it this way every time. It's
Yeah.
still in boxes, like,
Yeah.
inside this box is a solar meter. The solar meter works the same way as your electric meter, except for one major difference. Every time the solar meter spins once, instead of you paying 21 cents for it, you get to buy it at 13.5 cents a kilowatt, and that's a flat rate. There's no taxes on top of that, there's no hidden delivery fees, there's no activations, nothing. It's just a flat rate. So anything the system is able to produce, you get to buy it now at the cheapest rate in the state. And that is, in terms of price per kilowatt, that is the cheapest price that I am aware of in the state of Connecticut. Okay? Now, what does that mean? So how much can we produce? Because that's usually the next question that people think about. So I show them on their bill. Let's go to the second page if you have it. Okay? So we're going to take this first graph here. Forget about this one. This doesn't mean anything. This first graph here, we're going to take that, and this shows us what you've used for the last 12 rolling months in terms of kilowatts for your home. We're going to take that, we're going to add all that up, and we're going to design a system that will produce up to, but not to exceed, 100%. Now, I'll tell you right now, we can't always do that. In fact, my average in Stratford is like 50 to 60% of what people use is what we're able to produce through the solar system. I think you guys will do fine, and you know what? That's still great, because that's still the majority of your bill you're buying at a huge discount. So there's really no limit to our program. It's just whatever we can produce, you're going to save money because you're buying it at the cheapest rate possible. So let me give you a couple examples of how it's going to look during the year, because it's solar. I mean, in the summer, the sun's out a lot longer than it is in the winter, so the panels are going to produce more. So let's take a couple of examples. Let's use the bill that you just had. You guys used 700 kilowatts. Okay, let me give you 2 examples here. The first is, let's say it's winter time, and we're not quite producing as much because the days are shorter. It's not because there's more clouds or there's more rain or there's more snow. It's because the sun's not out as long. So let's say 700 kilowatts, and we produce 500 of those kilowatts. What price do you get to buy the 500 kilowatts at?
13 and a half.
You got it. And sometimes they'll look at you like, is this a trick question? But it keeps them engaged. It keeps them engaged. Exactly. So you get to buy 500 at 13.5. Now the difference here is what?
2.
200
kilowatts.
200. Okay, just want to make sure. All right. So then these 200 you just buy from UI just like normal, because you obviously need that electricity, but the solar system didn't create it because the days are a little bit shorter. Now that's one example. So, and here's the point I make. So even when we don't produce everything that you use, you're still saving money because you're buying the majority of your energy at the cheapest rate you possibly can. Okay, it's the smartest way to buy your electricity. Now, let's say it's summertime, and these panels are just cranking. Okay, so for this example, you still use 700 kilowatts, and let's say the system produced 800. You still get to buy all 800 at the cheapest rate possible.
But
Now,
only
here's
need
the cool-
700.
Here's the cool part, Tony. Here's the cool part. A lot of people think we make our money on the overage, okay, like the excess. You know, it's like, oh, you get to use my roof to put these panels up there, and then you make all this money selling it back to the electric companies. That's not how it works. Actually, you get the overage, not us. So you get to buy your energy at the cheapest rate possible, and this extra 100 that we overproduce goes back into the grid, and UI automatically buys that back from you. Now, what price do you think they buy it back at?
21.
What price would you like them to buy it back at? 21, right? You're exactly right. They give you a kilowatt for kilowatt credit. So now, Tony, you're actually making money because you're buying the energy at the cheapest rate possible. UI is buying it back from you at the highest retail rate, and that comes in the form of a credit on your next bill. So then I point to their bill and I say, so instead of you getting, whatever, a $140 bill, there's going to be a negative in front of here. And those credits are going to build up and roll over each month during the summer. So in the winter, when our production starts to dip a little bit, you get to use up all that stored energy that you banked. And so that's when you really save money, is in the fall and winter, because our bill is very small, plus you don't have much of a UI bill, because you're using up all the credits. Now, we can't do that for everybody, okay? I tell them that right up front. We can't do that for everybody. But even if we aren't able to do that, if your roof doesn't allow us to do that, you're still buying your energy at the cheapest rate, so there's no way you can lose, okay? So that's how I do that. Now, the one thing, and I'll tell them this right up front, the one thing that solar cannot cover is the line charge on your bill. There's a flat line charge. It's $17 for UI, and everybody has to pay it. That keeps you connected to the grid so that if we don't produce everything you use, you can still get the energy that you need. Everybody has to pay it. It's the only thing solar can't cover, okay? Nobody ever has a problem with that. They get it. It's just the way it works, okay? There it is. It's this basic service charge, $17.25. So if we, theoretically, if we produced 100% of what you used every single month, the only thing you'd be paying UI is the $17.25. The rest you'd be buying from us at the cheapest rate. Okay? Everybody clear on that? Okay, good. Now, there's 5 common questions that everybody asks me. Actually 6. The first is what happens if I move or if I sell the house? Okay? So if you move, a couple of things will happen. First off, according to Wall Street Journal, it's going to actually increase the value of your home. RE/MAX of New England says that your home will sell faster as well because people are looking for ways to save money, and not every house will qualify for this program. So that's a huge selling advantage if you guys do go to sell your home. Another thing is this the solar panels are 100% transferable to the new homeowners. Okay, there's no cost for that. It's just like your cable bill. All we do is change the bill into their name, and they continue to save money just like you do. Worst case scenario, if they don't want it, because right about that point, the customer's going, what if they don't want it? You know, and you got to beat them to it. Like you just beat them to it. Worst case scenario, if they don't want it, you guys can actually have us relocate the panels. We have offices from New York to California. Okay, we're the largest residential solar provider in the country, so chances are we're going to have a location where you guys are going to be.
Are we bigger residentially than Solar City?
I thought we were, but
In New
according
England.
to Dylan, we're not. Dylan is the fact meister.
We're not even close to Solar City.
Are we number 1?
In residential?
Not even close.
Huh,
How about in New England?
Okay.
In New England,
Oh yeah, we are. In New England, I know that. And again, keep in mind, I'm always trying to break it down on the local level. In Stratford, I know where I'm at, and I know we have more installs than all the other companies combined. Like, you know, we're killing it there. So that's what I usually refer to. Bottom line is, we have offices from New York to California. We're all over the place, and I just leave it at that. Okay. Don't get into, well, what if I move to Missouri? No, don't go there. It's just, we have offices from New York to California, blah, 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 blah. Leave it there. Most of the time, I don't get any kickback, I don't get any feedback when I present it that way. It's just the way it is. And if they do say, the customer will usually have a conversation with themselves. Okay, well, if they don't want it, you know, blah, blah, blah.
shit.
Okay, but you know what, if, you know,